Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and being a producer of Wrestle Massacre as well as Inside Movies Galore, I am David Strege, and welcome to Delusions of Grandeur. Enjoy the reviews. I certainly did.
Okay, Dave, that's it. Screw you and your college flunkies. I've had enough of this from you and from everyone else. I know what you guys are trying to do. Break me down, drive me out of the force. Well, it's going to take a hell of a lot more than a lame prank like this to get Curtis Mooney to throw in his badge, so fuck you. Over.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of What's in My Room. And here I'm back on Delusions of Grandeur. My name is David Strege, and I'm here to show you some of my newest arrivals lately. So this one I may have gone on about. I'm not entirely sure, but I actually just recently watched it with my fiance, and I sat down and watched it. So if it's on a previous video, I am sorry. It just ended up in my newest arrival box, but I ended up buying on eBay the film Crawl for about $10, maybe $13 with taxes and shipping and all that jazz. But Crawl, it's directed by Alexander Aja, or whatnot, and it was an amazing movie about alligators in a Category 5 storm. My God, that one will be rememberable. So next I have the sequel to 47 Meters Down, otherwise known as Into the Deep originally, and I actually have the DVD that it was called Into the Deep on before they changed the name to 47 Meters Down. And this one is actually called 47 Meters Down Uncaged. And this is a Blu-ray DVD combo pack. I try to look for combo packs if at all possible. If I end up with combo packs, it's because somebody thought that I would want the movie as is. But the film stars Sophie Nélisse, Corinne Fox, Brianne Zhu, Sistine Stallone, Davi Santos, Breck Basinger, and John Corbett. Evidently, the director of this particular feature is Johannes Roberts. So there we have 47 Meters Down Uncaged. Four girls end up going into a secret cavern that evidently has just been discovered as like Mayans or something like that. Well, anyways, today's pickup actually was from Big Lots. You can actually still see the sticker on it. It's still in plastic. And it actually seems like it's on that stupid shit. But this is a cover. It's a slip cover to 4 movies of Marlon Brando, a 4-movie collection, the franchise collection. And it has The Night of the Following Day, The Ugly American, A Countess from Hong Kong, and The Appaloosa on it. And that was today's pickup. I ended up paying $5 for that. Last week, I ended up picking up another copy of E.T. Because of this awesome slipcover. Don't know why. I have an older DVD, and now I have a newer one. This one was $5, and it's a 2-disc set of 3 hours of bonus features. I ended up watching all the extras and stuff like that. That's maybe why I picked it up. The DVD that I have is actually before the one that they actually added some footage or whatnot that was not on the movie before, and I ended up with a bare bones DVD of it. So in any case, next I have Charlie Chaplin's The Great Dictator, which I ended up picking up for $20 over at Mega Media over on a little bit past 76th Street on Layton. It's in a strip mall, and they ended up giving me $60 back for some of my doubles. So that was pretty amazing. And I went back and bought some of these bins here. So I bought 4 bins from that $60. So that was pretty sweet. But I've been wanting this film for quite some time, and I've wanted some of the other ones that Charlie Chaplin has been in, and have gotten to the Criterion collection, but I just haven't had the right money at the right time, and I just had the right money at the right time for that one there. Now, I'd actually seen The Joker before I actually picked it up. I didn't see it in the theaters. I saw it in a download, and I wasn't impressed as much as everyone else. But I do have to say the film was shot really well. I think it was definitely a different film. It was a weird film. It kind of reminded me of Taxi Driver just a little bit, with the signs going off. And I guess I'm curious about what the second movie will bring. If the second movie actually outshines this one, and they don't rush it or whatnot, I'd love to see what they can bring to this story, because in here, even though it doesn't really seem like he does a lot, he does kill quite a few people. I mean, he suffocates his mother. He kills the one friend from work, and he kills the dudes on the train, and then he kills that show guy. But then starts a revolution. So I guess people say that this is Taxi Driver all over again, and I'm glad that I own it. I like Joaquin Phoenix as an actor, so it's not that I didn't think it was great or anything like that. I thought it was okay. I thought it was decent. I don't think that it's as raveable about as other people seem to think. It was very, very slow, and that seems to be the Hollywood norm. Evidently, pacing must be slow, must be boring, must put you to sleep in order for it to be great in the filmmaker's eyes. Next, this set actually cost me $100. Normally, I say I should never spend over $50 on one film. Well, this is 3 films, And I can understand it was an out-of-print trilogy, and I was just told about this comedy of films. It's called the Tunbridge Trilogy, and it's directed by John O'Brien. All three of these films. So the first one of these films is called Vermont is for Lovers. I've been trying to watch this, but I started watching this on a night that I was actually very sleepy. Vermont is for Lovers. The first installment in the Tunbridge trilogy, Vermont is for Lovers, follows George and Maria, two New Yorkers who decide to get married in Vermont. Unfortunately, the idyllic setting brings out the worst in the couple, and before long, even the wedding itself is in doubt. But as the bride and groom court disaster, something extraordinary happens, ushering in a conclusion that's wonderfully funny and happily redemptive. Lawrence Kardish, curator of the film at the Museum of Modern Art, describes Vermont is for Lovers as one of the freshest, most delightful American comedies in quite a while. Director John O'Brien gets wonderfully unaffected performances in a landscape so beautiful you'll want to break your lease and move. A hit at the Toronto Film Festival and a must for any couple considering a Green Mountain wedding. Vermont includes the debuts of Fred Tuttle and George Lyford, the stars of The Man with a Plan and Nosy Parker. So there we have Vermont is for Lovers. Next in the trilogy is called Man with a Plan, which is the movie that was suggested by Daniel O'Day, who runs Rebel Gaming Club and has a band that's called Rebel something or other. Rebel City Rousers or something like that. Well, anyways, he's been featured in the front page of the New York Times, in People Magazine, The New Yorker, and NPR, and The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. His performance in this fictional political comedy made him a star. His upset victory in a real U.S. Senate race made him a folk hero. But he would have told you he's just plain old Fred. He's Fred Tuttle, the man with a plan. So, interesting. Next in the trilogy is Nosy Parker. Sick of suburbia, Natalie and Richard Newman leave Connecticut for rural Vermont, where they expect the unspoiled setting to rejuvenate their marriage. But shortly after moving into their dream house, Natalie realizes she is lonely and bored. Then she meets George, a colorful and kind farmer. Their flirtatious relationship matures into a friendship full of humor, insight, and trust. This is not a love affair, this is a love story. Nosy Parker seamlessly blends professional actors with real Vermonters, improvisation with documentary-like observation, fiction with nonfiction. Merchant and Ivory awarded John O'Brien a special jury prize for outstanding direction at the Nantucket Film Festival. The Great American Hometown Love Letter. Like It's a Wonderful Life, this is a film to own, adore, and watch with your family every holiday season. So there we have Nosy Parker. And that completes the Tunbridge trilogy. Was one of my more expensive buys, too. So, not exactly entirely proud of the price, but it was a necessity for getting more people to come on the channel. Give me a second. So next, I ended up putting in for Kickstarter and the Indiegogo project, Boogers of the Antichrist. And this is signed, and this is number 3 out of 35 of this limited edition art for this project. So came with 2 other discs, but I can show those later if I ever really wanted to. It's called Boogers of the Antichrist. So I'm curious about what that film entails. So next, I have 2 copies of Dead Kansas. One has a bonus film on there, which is an anthology by the same director. This is the lone film, a 64-minute film of Dead Kansas, and it's from Rotten Productions, and it says in the tagline here, "Live in hell long enough, everyone turns into a demon." And it's a film by Aaron K. Carter. And it stars Aaron Miracle, Alexandria Lightford, Aaron Guerrero, Michael Camp, Kevin C. Beardsley, Anthony Della Catena, Joe McQueen, and Erwin Keys. So there we have Dead Kansas. And this is his own copy that he put out. But I also have a different covered copy of just the first 16 minutes of the film. I'll have to show that to you later. So I actually have 3 different copies of the film. And then he ended up recently getting his film distributed onto oldies.com with his with a double feature with his anthology film called An Hour to Kill. So I haven't even opened this yet, just to check the film out. Glad I was able to pick up a copy. And at the same time of picking up that particular film, I ended up picking up Theseus and the Minotaur, Joshua Kennedy's sword and sandal epic. And that one stars Jamie Trevino, Gus Kennedy, Brian Warren, Tom Pearson, and stop motion by Ryan Lengel. And then, of course, a bonus feature stop motion animation film directed by Ryan Lengel, called Night of the Beast from 20 zillion years ago, which I believe he's actually had another short film somewhere along the line on something else. Evidently a tribute to Ray Harryhausen, a sword and sandal epics from Monster Kid auteur Joshua Kennedy. And he's a kid with autism, just like me. And right now he's working on something different, but he ended up also doing The Fungus Among Us. And I just so happen to have a copy of Slimoids, directed by Sebastian Godin. And I'm glad that I have that copy as well. I mean, I assume that I'll be sent a copy of Slimoid. I'm being sent a copy of Slimoids from director Brad Twigg. I actually bought a copy from him. In any case, next I have a Shudder original movie called Mon Monster, and this is directed by Giddens Co. Distributed by RLJE Films. So looking forward to checking that film out. Um, so next I have, this is a 7 film collection called Sharkbait. And a lot of these films were on the Sci-Fi channel for many years, and finally, some of them have actually come to light to being at least on a physical copy in the U.S. First one up is called Ghost Shark. If I remember correctly, that has an appearance of Sean C. Phillips, I think his name is, and he's a kid who was who actually goes around and does YouTube. I think he's a Cool Dude Surfer or Cool Duder 1 or something like that on YouTube. But in any case, Mississippi River Sharks, that was a 2017 film. Ghost Shark was a 2012 film. Ozark Sharks, that's from 2016. Santa Jaws from 2018. Swamp Shark, that's from 2010. Zombie Shark, which I've been waiting for that one to come out on something. And that one was from 2014. And Alligator Alley. So this is the only alligator film on here, and that's from 2013. So I'm looking forward to checking out some of these films. I love shark films, no matter what, and just love checking some of these B movie-ish shark type shark movies at all times. So I started collecting some of these in volume sets, which I think they're in my television set. But I ended up finding this for $20 at Half Price Books. This is a fun series, from what I understand. It's a bunch of animated characters going and hunting down and stripping elves nude for a living. It just sounded fun and looked fun. I mean, it's not quite, a porno or whatnot. It's just pure fun. But Those Who Hunt for Elves, the complete collection. I'm quite glad that I came across that. Now I can get rid of my single volumes that I started to collect for like $2 a piece at Half Price Books. So, or maybe I'll keep them just in case I want to collect some more of them. I just never fully found the rest of the collection. I was hoping that I would come across them in the cheapie section eventually. But anyways, I picked this up for $5 at Big Lots. I ended up. I have not fully watched the entire trilogy of 50 Shades. So I ended up picking up the special edition, the unrated edition, Blu-ray DVD combo of 50 Shades Darker. And actually, I think that they kind of stepped it up a bit in this film, although it's still kind of a Lifetime movie. But I don't know. I just keep getting a Girl on a Train kind of a vibe. It's not that Girl on the Train was ever really that disappointing. It's just it kind of just came and went. I owned the film, I watched it. It just did nothing for me. Next, I ended up at the same time of picking up Sharkbait. Ended up picking these up for like $7.99 a piece. These are the Randolph Scott Roundup 2-volume sets, and I've seen these on oldies.com. It's just they ended up being at my local Menards, just like that Sharkbait one. So So this is the first one. And this one has The Desperados with Randolph Scott, Glenn Ford, Claire Trevor, and Evelyn Keyes. And that was a film from 1943, The Nevadian, with Randolph Scott, Dorothy Malone, Forrest Tucker, and that film is from 1950. Santa Fe, and that's with Randolph Scott, Janice Carter, Jerome Cortland, and that's a film from 1951. Man in the Saddle, and that's with Randolph Scott, Joan Leslie, Ellen Drew, Aaron Knox, or Alexander Knox, and that is a film from 1951. Hangman's Knot, with Randolph Scott, Donna Reed, Claude Jarman Jr., and Lee Marvin. And that is a film from 1952. And The Stranger Wore a Gun, with Randolph Scott, Claire Trevor, John Weldon, and George McCready. And that is a film from 1953. This next one, it has Lawless Street with Randolph Scott and Angela Lansbury. And that's a film from 1955. The Tall T with Randolph Scott, Richard Boone, Maureen O'Sullivan. And that is a film from 1957. Decision at Sundown with Randolph Scott, John Carroll, Karen Steele. And that's a film from 1957. Buchanan Rides Alone with Randolph Scott, Craig Stevens, Jennifer Holden. And that's a film from 1958. Ride Lonesome with Randolph Scott, Karen Steele, Colonel Roberts. And that's a film from 1959. Comanche Station with Randolph Scott, Nancy Gates, and Claude Atkins. And that's a film from 1959. So there we have 2 volumes of Randolph Scott films. Next, I have some animated films, which I've never seen, but apparently people love the soundtrack. I'm connected to this anime group of people who seem to love the soundtrack for this series. And I have the movie edition of Macross Plus, and the director is Shoji Kawamori, something like that. And I ended up picking up Macross Plus Volume 1, Parts 1 and 2. Evidently, because I have not checked these out yet, and this piece will actually probably be in with my movie series, TV series collections. It'll probably be in my volume number 2 video, but this is the start of a small mini series of Japanese animation. So I'm going to put this over here so that I can connect it with some other stuff. So is that Those Who Hunt Elves. That's going to be in my next. But this is a movie, so it's going to go over here. That's the movie edition. Next, I have a Japanese film with Park Hale, Ryu Seung Ryong in War of the Arrows, which is directed by Kim Tai. Wait, not that person. It's from Lottie Entertainment, and Solvik Solvik Venture Capital Company, DCG Plus Company Lieutenant, Dayspo Club, DCG Plus Production, executive producers. It's not really telling me who the director is. Oh, okay. The director of this film is actually Kim Han Min, and it's distributed by Wellgo USA. And I love this company. I love that they are like a mass, like have become like the mass production company for international films. I'm quite glad. Next, I have one of my favorite musicals on Broadway, and this is so much better than the actual movie because they actually do it to a hilt, live on Broadway, and yeah, it's called Into the Woods. It's directed. It's a Stephen Sondheim play, I believe, and it was played in the American Playhouse. It is a Michael Brandman production. It stars Bernadette Peters, Joanna Gleason, Chip Zien, Tom Aldridge, and Robert Westenberg in Into the Woods. It is a 1988 Tony Award-winning musical for Best Score, Best Book, and Best Actress. The music and lyrics are by Stephen Sondheim. The book is by James Lapine. And the executive producer of this is Michael Brandman, producer Iris Merlis, and it's directed by James Lapine. So I am so glad to own this finally. It was a musical that I was part of, and I only played a steward, but I had so much fun with it. And it's hard for me to say this, but our teacher, her name was Miss Kazambi, and she had a lot of favoritism. She liked her particular actors and actresses, and my music teacher actually had to fight for me to get me into doing a musical with her. So, especially since she had such a grudge against my sister. But I'm so glad that I own this now. Bernadette Peters just has a phenomenal voice as the witch in here. I had a crush on her at one point in time, especially since I've heard her and seen her in other things. I mean, I know she's an older lady now, but she was quite a hottie back in the day. Next, I have Viking Destiny. I ended up finding a bunch of Viking films. This is directed by David L. Hughes. It's picked up by Lionsgate. So, the film stars Ian Beatty, Will Mellor, Martin Ford, and Terence Stamp, and introducing Anna Demetriou. Be interesting to check that out. Next, I have Viking Blood. And this is directed by Uri L. Schwartz. The battle begins, Viking Blood. A brilliantly bloodthirsty movie. Those are the taglines. When a Viking mercenary finds himself in the middle of a battle between the old gods and the new, he decides that neither side deserves to win. And so begins an epic battle between good and evil that will decide the fate of a nation. So there we have Viking Blood. Next, I have The Viking War. And this one is directed by Louisa Warren and Susie Spade. So directed by women. And stars Darcy Lincoln, Peter Cosgrove, and Joshua Lewandin. So, with Champog Films and Backwater Studio. And this is this was distributed by ITN Distribution, along with E1. Next, I have something that's produced by Guillermo del Toro. And I picked up the DVD of Scary Stories, as it is directed by Andre Oberdahl. But it has screen story by Guillermo del Toro and Patrick Milton and Marcus Dunstan. So yeah, I actually just recently watched that, and I was very impressed with it. So I have the first picture to a martial arts film, The One-Armed Swordsman. I will probably eventually pick up the other one eventually down the road. One of the essential classics of Hong Kong cinema, The One-Armed Swordsman is the original tale of swordsplay and honor that influenced generations of martial arts films. A betrayed kung fu student retreats to lead a peaceful existence until duty forces him to learn a deadly new fighting style and return to a world of violence and vengeance. Directed by Chang Che, Five Deadly Venoms combines exciting weapons choreography with a rich storyline in this 4-star Kung Fu cinema Shaw Brothers classic, The One-Armed Swordsman. Next, I have a film called The Headhunter. And this one looks like it's directed by Jordan Downey. I've heard of him. It's with Brain Studios. On the outskirts of a kingdom, a quiet but fierce medieval warrior protects the realm from monsters and the occult. His gruesome collection of heads is missing only one, the monster that killed his daughter years ago. Driven by a thirst for vengeance, he travels wild expanses on horseback, using sorcery to aid in his quest. When his second chance arrives, it's in a way far more horrifying than he ever imagined. I had not gotten around to actually collecting the last of Sharknado, but it's about time. Directed by Anthony C. Ferrante, just like the other films. I think I watched it while it was on TV, but I have to check it out again. I have to watch the entire series again just to check out the film once again. Ian Ziering and Tara Reid once again star in this film. So next, I know that this is an older one to pick up, but this has since Stan Lee is dead, I ended up picking up Stan Lee's Mutants and Monsters and Marvels. Evidently, this is two complete features on one DVD. It says Creating Spider-Man and Here Comes the Heroes. Stan Lee's inside scoop on Spider-Man the movie. And this was at the time. Probably was something at one point in time. Next, I picked up a movie that I've always heard about while living here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I've actually met the man myself, so I'm actually happy to have uh, met him in person. And this is called American Movie. Evidently, Roger Ebert and the movies called it a terrific, funny, inspiring, two very big thumbs up. So this film was directed by Chris Smith. It was apparently the hit of the 1999 Sundance Film Festival. It is the hilarious and intense story of one man's obsession to make movies. Menominee Falls, Wisconsin is a long way from Hollywood, but Mark Borchardt has a dream. Armed with a driving ambition and nothing to lose, the last talking Borchardt enlists friends, local thespians, and unwilling family members to help him finish his no-budget horror movie, Coven. The camera doesn't flinch as it captures every emotional crisis and financial pitfall in his two-year odyssey. What emerges is a bizarre yet surprisingly heartfelt documentary portrait of a true American character. Welcome to the real world. The story continues at AmericanMovie.com. Check it out. So everyone who knows anything about Milwaukee always mentions Mark Borchardt in this movie. And I finally picked it up for real. Next, I have Dead Space Aftermath, which is the sequel to Dead Space, which is a Japanese animation of sorts, and it's directed by Mike Disa. Or wait. Yeah, I believe it's directed by Mike Disa. So, Dead Space Aftermath. Gonna check that out eventually. Cool cover, by the way. Next, I have Metropolis, Osamu Tezuka's Metropolis. And this is the animated version of supposedly Fritz Lang's Metropolis. I'm going to check that out eventually. Heard it's beautiful. And this was another one of my pickups from Big Lots last week. I ended up picking up The Boss Baby. And I actually thought this was really cute. It was directed by Tom McGrath, and it's about a little boy who was so used to his imaginary world that he never thought of having a big brother, or he thought that there was something different about his baby brother as he wore a suit, and and for some reason the baby kind of reminded me of these little short films that Roger Rabbit was in, that you saw before the film of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids on the VHS. But when they came to DVD, they ended up being in the special features of the Vista series version of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And there was a baby who smoked a cigar that kind of reminded me of this baby. And he ended up coming to this family to find the secret to what the new puppy was, and then come back with it to Baby Kingdom or Baby World. or whatever. It was kind of funny, and it was amusing. But anyways, The Boss Baby. And then finally, I have 4 films that I had picked up from Chibi's Films, which is an Illinois company. These are all directed by Derek Brosh. I believe that's how you call it. And the first film I have here is called Guardian Angel, and he is a master of short films lately. Next I have Mutilation Massacre, and he signed all of these. That's awesome. Mentis. And Redder. So, kind of glad that I picked these up. They were $15 a piece. Wish they would have been cheaper, like maybe $10. But I enjoy the fact that he's relatively close somewhere, and glad that I'm able to support his films and endeavors or whatnot. So thank you so much. Have a great day, evening, or morning, wherever you are. These are all of my recent pickups, and hopefully you enjoyed me describing some of these. If you want me to go in more detail about any of these, let me know down in the comments, and I'll try to help you out. In any case, thank you so much for listening and coming onto my page. Thank you so much, and I just love sharing some of what I get out into the world. So thank you so much. Enjoy. So I forgot Dr. Sleep, and it's directed by Mike Flanagan, and oh my God, I absolutely love this movie. I think it's even better than The Shining. And what a load of crap that movie was. I'm sorry. It's a beautiful film in some ways, but in others, he just insulted Stephen King so much at the time, and I just can't get into The Shining. I love Jack Nicholson as an actor, loved his character, but I'm more a fan of films being accurate. And I'm sorry, many people have told me that The Shining is an awesome movie. Well, I beg to differ, and I think that Stanley Kubrick was a bored genius who cared nothing about what when he picked up the novel of Stephen King. He was so insulting towards King every step of the way, and I just can't. I just can't get into someone's. The only film that I like by Stanley Kubrick is actually A Clockwork Orange, and that was a genius film. That I could tell he could act. He actually gave honor to the person who wrote it, which was Kurt Vonnegut, I believe. That was one of his books, and I just think that taking this movie and slapping Stephen King in the face with it was just terrible to do, and I'm sorry. That's just how I feel. Now, this movie brought respect back, and I love that. I enjoyed it entirely. I also forgot about the last film of Jan Chaos. Evidently, this is the last film that he says that he will ever do, and it's called Followers of the Dead Light. It's a gore film. And this is what it says: forbidden rituals and incantations unleashing the powerful demons on earth to destroy life. Humanity is dead, the gods have failed, the messengers of death have been sent to spread the unholy prophecy. No more Messiah to lead the sheeps. Horrible death to the wicked ones. Face your true destiny. Don't resist the call from the life eater down below. Do you hear the whispers calling your name? You're now wandering with the followers the dead light. Kind of a cool cover. It's the copy that I have is number 26 out of 50 made. So that's not too bad of a number. And it says an unholy, blasphemic gore film. I guess he is happy with the film. I have not seen it as of yet, but I'm willing to check it out and go on about it eventually. So thank you for listening. Have a great day, evening, or morning, wherever you are. I'm glad I was able to come on and show you these films again. And thank you so much. Come back anytime. I'll have some more exciting stuff coming along fairly soon. So thank you. Enjoy.
You were good, kid, real good. But as long as I'm around, you'll always be second best, see?